vayhi li Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat ya 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 vayhi li Yeshua. God is our source and our strength. Good morning. Just one moment. Ellis's counselor is sending me a message. All is fine. Don't worry. Ellis is correct. Okay. Sorry about that. Little confusion. They thought Ellis is taking the bus home. He doesn't take the bus home from camp, so obviously he's telling them the correct information, and the counselor's thinking something else. Okay, so here we are. Next week's Parsha, which is the week that we're in, is Parshat Shoftim, and Rabbi Jay and I have a funeral to attend today, so you get me this morning so that we can be ready and on the road to where we need to be. So normally it's our prayer connection, but I think if we start the week with a little bit of understanding, where is this week going to take us? So this happens to be one of my favorite parshiot, one of my favorite portions in the book of Devarim, in the last book, the book of Deuteronomy and Torah. Maybe because it was my sister Emma's portion, and like it was one of the ones in the beginning that I studied deeply, but also because of the message for what it's worth. And so the question is very relevant today, which is, how do we build a just society? So generally this parsha is about courts and judges, and all of that is important, of course. But I think what we can glean from this week's Torah is also the theme of who is guiding our lives. So I thought today I'd talk about becoming the judge of your own heart, and perhaps Wednesday go a step further to say the pursuit of justice begins within ourselves, and then this idea of hope maybe for Friday, but we'll see when we get there as it unfolds for us. So in understanding better today, learning to judge ourselves okay, learning to judge ourselves with wisdom and compassion, this idea of cheshbon hanefesh, cheshbon, this honest self-reflection. We always do this before we come to the high holy days. It's our way of coming clean, of cleansing ourselves, of readying ourselves for that which is the next year, which is the start of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the start and cleanse of our lives. So Parshat Shoftim begins with a command that sounds like it belongs to a courtroom. Judges and officers shall you appoint at your gates, it says. At first glance, it seems the Torah is speaking about government, about court, and about justice, about leaders, and it certainly is. But each time I think about this parsha, or learn it, or study it, or just even know that it's here, I wonder if Torah is asking or inviting us to appoint another kind of judge, not in our cities, but rather in ourselves. For every single day, each of us serves as a judge, not in a courtroom, of course. Well, some of us do, maybe, but in our own hearts. We judge situations, we judge people, sometimes we even judge ourselves. And the question is not whether or not we judge. We're not supposed to judge, but like everybody does. It's human nature too. The question is how we judge. The Torah immediately warns us, do not show partiality. The instruction isn't only, though, for the ancient judges. It's for us, because if we're honest, we have biases. We know we do. We jump to conclusions. We assume motives. We see someone's most horrific, terrible moments and forget the rest of their story. And perhaps no one receives a harsher judgment from us than ourselves. How quickly we replay our mistakes in our head over and over. How easily we magnify our shortcomings. How reluctant we are to offer ourselves the same compassion we freely extend to others. But Jewish tradition has a beautiful practice called Cheshbon HaNefesh, the accounting of the soul. It's not about standing trial. Yes, I'm working for one more minute, okay? Yes, but I'll see you in 1 minute. It's not about standing trial. It's about taking an honest look inward, asking, where do I live according to my values today? Where do I fall short? Where do I notice the difference? How can I become better for tomorrow? Not, am I a good person, but how can I become a better one? And it's an entirely different kind of judgment, one that doesn't shame. It's more one that's guiding us to a better life. And so we can't help but wonder if the Torah is hoping that for us. Not judges who condemn, but judges who seek the truth. Not judges who are harsh, but rather judges that are fair. Not judges who delight in punishment, but rather who desire growth for individuals and for the greater community and world. Imagine if we approached ourselves that way. Instead of saying, I failed, we ask, what can this teach me? How can I be better? Not, I'm not enough, but maybe, who is God still inviting me to become? Justice without compassion becomes cruelty. Compassion without honesty becomes avoidance. So the Torah asks us to hold both truth and kindness. There's another beautiful detail in the verse. The Torah says to appoint judges in all your gates. The gates where people entered and left the city. Those are the doors. Perhaps our own gates are places where our thoughts enter our hearts, right? When we pause for silent reflection, it's the words of our heart to the God of our understanding. But if we align our hearts and minds together, then the midpoint is our lips. Those are the gates, right? So if these two are aligned, then we have this opening of our gates. Are we allowing the voices that should be heard to pass through those gates? A voice of comparison, a voice of fear, a voice that says we'll never be enough, or a quieter voice that says you made a mistake. Now learn from it, grow, and try again. Maybe that's the first judge we're called to appoint. The voice that tells the truth without forgetting compassion. If you listened to the way you speak to yourself, would it sound like justice or not? What would change if our inner judge also became our greatest teacher? Parshat Shoftim reminds us that justice begins long before the courtroom. It begins in the quiet places of our hearts. Beloved friends, may we seek truth without losing tenderness. May we examine ourselves honestly without forgetting grace. May we become people who judge wisely, forgive generously, and grow continually. because the first judge we appoint may well determine the kind of person we become. The first judge we appoint may determine the kind of person we become. Remember, over the past few weeks, the thread has been to remember, to listen, to see, to choose, and to become a blessing. And this week's Parshat feels like the next step. Before we can change the world, we need to be willing to examine our own hearts. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you and will continue to show up for one another, to be the judge of truth, which is what starts within ourselves. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai.